In this video, I'm going to use the chain rule for derivatives to find the derivative of this function. This function is a sort of product of two polynomials raised to a certain power. Now, the way we are going to do is we are going to use a couple of rules. One is the product rule we are going to use, and then followed by the chain rule. So we are going to think of this as my u and this as my v. Then I could use the product rule for u times v. Then what we are going to do, we're going to turn around and find the derivative of each of these using the chain rule. So let's just use the product rule first. So dy over dx is going to be equal to u times derivative of v. So x squared plus x raised to the power 4 times the derivative of v, which is going to be d over dx, x to the power 4 minus x cubed to the power third, plus v times derivative of u. v is x to the power 4 minus x cubed raised to the power 3 times the derivative of u, which is x squared plus x raised to the power 4. Now this is just simple product rule. Now we need to find this derivative and we need to find this derivative. These two derivatives can be found using the chain rule. Okay, so by now you should be comfortable with the chain rule. So we are going to think of, so let's take the first one. We are going to think of the first one, x to the power 4 minus x cubed raised to the power 3. This could be written as a composition of two functions, which I will show you. So let's say my g of x is equal to x to the power 4 minus x cubed. Then my f of x is going to be just x cubed. Then if you do f composed with g of x, you're going to get f of g of x, right? Times, f of g of x, and that is equal to f of, what is g of x? X to the power 4 minus x cubed, which is this, right? That's going to give you f. What does it do to the function? I mean input. It takes the input and cubes it. So my input is x to the power 4 minus x cubed raised to the power 3. Okay. Now I can use the function composition rule. By the way, what I just did here, it could be applied exactly the same way to this function, to this one, to this derivative. So derivative of f composed with g of x is going to be f of g of x, f prime of g of x times g prime of x. And we can easily do that. G prime of x is very easy. G prime of x is going to be derivative of this, which is going to be 4x cubed minus 3x squared. Then we need to find f prime of g of x. And that is going to be very easy to find. Again, think of g of x as input. You are taking derivative of f with respect to g of x. So what is my f composed with g of x? So where is it? Right here. Okay, f of g of x. So I'm going to think what is inside the parentheses as a single variable, and we could call it u. So if it were to be u, it's going to be u cubed, and the derivative of that is going to be 3u squared, 3 times u to the power 3 minus 1, which is 2. In exactly the same way, we are going to find the derivative of f of g of x, which is this guy, that is actually just this. So f prime of g of x is going to be, we are going to treat this thing as one thing. So it's going to be we are going to be using the power rule, 3 times x to the power 4 minus x cubed raised to the power 3 minus 2, which is just 2. Now let's get back to our derivative of composition of functions. So that is going to be nothing but this thing multiplied by this thing. So this is this, and this is, where is it? Right here. So I can just multiply it out, and that's going to give me 3x to the power 4 minus x cubed raised to the power 2 times 4x cubed minus 3x square. Of course, we need to put it inside parentheses. And that should be the derivative. So this should be the derivative of this. Now we need to find the derivative of this. Now this time I'm not going to repeat the process. I'm just going to take the derivative using the chain rule. So d over dx x square plus x raised to the power 4. The derivative of it is going to be using the power rule first. 4 times x square plus x raised to the power 3. Raised to the power 3, because 4 minus 1 is 3, times the derivative of the inside, which is d over dx x square plus x, which is going to give me 4 times x square plus x raised to the power 3 times the derivative of this, which is going to be 2x. Derivative of x square is 2x plus derivative of x is 1. And that's what it's going to be. Now, this is in reality how you do how you'd apply chain rule pretty much always, but I break it down at the beginning so that when you're learning it for the first time, I want to ensure that you understand the basics and how the chain rule actually works. So once you understand it, you can repeatedly apply this thing. That becomes pretty straightforward. Now, if we put it all together, this is what we get. So this is going to be the ultimate derivative. So all the terms put together. This is just a big expression, so I didn't simplify it. I'll just leave it as it is. That's not the main objective. Simplification, that's algebra. You can do it. So the derivative of this will be this. And in the process, what we have done, we used two of the properties of derivative. One is the product rule, and the other one is the chain rule. And please don't worry about the algebra so much. That's not what I'm concerned about. Just make sure that you understand the principles that go behind finding the derivative. The product rule followed by the chain rule. I hope that this discussion was helpful. Thank you very much.